I'm Christopher Kent. Welcome to Flea Market Mania. We're here at the Big Top Flea Market in Tampa, Florida. And right over there are treasures to be found. Let's go see what we can find. Come on. I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
And your name is?
Linda Francis.
Linda. Nice to meet you. You have brought a nice collection here. Let's first of all start with Shirley. What can you tell me about Shirley?
Nothing. I don't know where she came from.
Nothing? She just appeared on your
Apparently
doorstep.
it was my mom's.
Apparently it was your mom. Well, it is possible. Shirley is, this is actually it's a very good piece. You've done no homework on this particular one?
No.
Highly collectible piece. Very collectible piece. Okay. Let's start from the top here. Shirley was anything possible the image of Shirley Temple could be put on, it was put on. Everything. I hope she's still getting residuals because they maxed where they could ever put her image, they put her image. And these were very, very popular during the Depression. This form of glassware is a generic blue glass, which was very inexpensive to make to begin with. The whole thing in composition, whereas it's about 10 cents worth of materials here. But with that image on that today, do you have any idea what this is worth?
None whatsoever.
Okay. There would have been juice glasses with this. There were little dishes. There were big glasses. It came in all sorts of things. There was a creamer. There was a sugar that went with this as well. You're looking at about $125 for this piece. And you're surprised. Well, you got to do your homework. Let's look at these guys because I like to keep all these friends together. What can you tell me about this sweetheart?
Just that it was my mom's.
It was your mother's.
I'm sorry, my grandmother's.
Okay. As was this one.
That one was her sister's.
Any idea where they're from?
That one I was told was from France, but that's all I know. I don't know.
This is called Quiz the Guest. I like that. All right. You're passing so far. You're doing very, very well. First and foremost, what we look at when we're looking at period dolls, and these are coming from the latter portion of the 19th century, number one. I always like to dispel sort of these myths and saying it was my great-grandmother's, therefore it must be XYZ. She could have been 14 when she got them. So as far as age is concerned, we're still looking at about 1880 to about 1900 on these pieces. The giveaways, as far as this goes, they're porcelain faces with composite bodies. They are, in fact, French. A lot of the dolls that were being imported into this country were coming from France, they were coming from Germany, and some were coming from England as well as the dolls that were being made in this country, and we had a lot of good manufacturers. One of the places you're going to find a mark on these is usually under the wig itself. There are no marks on these. So that immediately is telling me it is not a Jumeau, a Madame Jumeau doll. It is not a Mayo doll, but what in fact is probably a B&N doll, which was coming out of France at about the time of the 1880s, 1890s. The nice thing about this is you have the weighted eyes, glass eyes in perfect condition. Both of these dolls have weighted eyes, which close when they lie down. We do have the composition bodies and composition hands, legs as well. That's very easy to date. Earlier dolls will usually have the porcelain and or bisque head, arms, usually a straw-filled body or horsehair body or composite wood pulp body, and then porcelain legs and feet. So we had a new material come into town here in this composition, which is what this is made of inside. Clothing are not original to these dolls, but the condition is really quite good. You all took very, very good care of these. Because we don't have a distinguishing mark on them that I can give you a direct attribution as far as manufacturers, we're going to have to fudge a little bit here. But as far as dolls from this period, you're looking at about $475 for this one, and about $475 for the baby doll. Baby dolls tend to go a little bit higher than the standing portrait dolls that these are. But you're looking at about $475 as well for her. Take very good care of them. Please don't wash their hands or anything like that, or their faces.
No, I haven't touched
a
them.
Nice little cloth to tidy them up, and they're really quite fine. I want to thank you very much for bringing them.
Thank you.
And I'm speaking with
Amanda.
Amanda, have you gotten all these things at this show?
Yes.
Well done. Well, you probably got here one of my favorite Lucy shows, and she's stomping on the grapes here. I want to ask you first and foremost, did you pay this price
Yeah.
The $39.
Yeah.
You didn't haggle with this person? All right,
But I haggled
repeat after me. Is that your best price?
Is that your best?
There you go. That's what you ask a dealer, and then they'll say, well, yeah, well, maybe it is. But anyway, this is a new series, actually, recently put out, and it's a great doll. Actually, you did pretty well with that price, so, you know, but still remember that line. But I want to zip right on to this one. What do we have here?
I have Donald Duck sketches, and they used it in a cartoon. And I got 3 for $20, but I haggled and I got it for $50.
Haggled. You got that good word there, haggled, going for you. You got it for what?
$50 for 3.
$50 for 3, otherwise $20 a piece.
Yeah.
Very well done. Yes, you're absolutely right. These are part of a whole series of animated cartoons,
Yeah.
and this is just one little second of that whole cartoon right here. And you have other ones that's here as well.
Yeah.
You did very well. The haggling thing, by the time you're 20, not a problem. What is this one?
This is a teddy bear from 1983, I think. And I got it for $10 because it was on everything.
1983. This is long before you were around here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because the whole table was $10.
And you got it for what?
For $10.
For $10. All right. Now, who manufactured this first and foremost? Let's have Fancy Zoo since 1983. Absolutely right. And it's made by the A&A company. Well, they're a company in New York, actually, that makes these lovely soft toys. I'm going to tell you, just with a history of, you want to keep this on this. If you're going to use this as an investment little teddy bear, you got to have these things on here because no, it has, unless it's got a label, and I don't believe that it does.
Yeah.
Does it over here on the side? Good. Then we've got its definite label that we can identify the product. It's the funniest thing as time goes on, what's in, what's out as far as collectibles are concerned. But $10 was a great deal. You got some good stuff. I'm going to go shopping with you next time. All right?
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to get up close and cozy with this. You won't want to miss it. Come on back. Tyletta Daly is a wonderful name, and you've got some beautiful things here. But tell me about this little goodie right here, which I'm going to hold up like so.
This is a dance card from Princeton, dated 6/12/1900 for their junior reception. It is complete. She danced just about, well, she danced every
This
dance.
one was the belle of the ball because she got them all. And I'm going to flip to the first page here, and so we can see that in point of fact, her dance card is full. Absolutely full. But somebody got scratched out here, and Dubose got the waltz. Lucky guy.
And they were all waltzes and foxtrots.
Absolutely beautiful.
No jitterbugging.
No jitterbugging. No, we were very well behaved. Now, where'd you find this, number one?
I found it from another dealer. I'm from Pennsylvania. I found it from another dealer in Pennsylvania, and it was one of those things that just tickled my stomach. I had to have it. It was the best find I'd had in months.
Absolutely delightful, and the wonderful patroness lists in the back, Mrs. Frances Patton, Mrs. Grover Cleveland, and it goes on and on and on. So you've got everybody who is anybody right here at Princeton Dance. Now, moving over to what kind of price? What kind of price tag do we have on that?
I'm asking $145 for
Why?
this.
Let me put you on the spot,
Because I
Tyletta.
think it's worth $145 or more.
Well done. And she's a hard nut to crack, guys. But I want to move, when we're talking about way of life and style of life and so forth, and another era that's gone by, we're moving into this one. Now, I said facetiously, this is something we were going to use to carry Uncle Ned's ashes around in, but in point of fact, what is it?
It is a traveling tea cozy. When the gentleman and lady would have gone on their picnics, they would have been able to take their tea with them.
And they say, well, wouldn't this have gotten wet? No, silly. I mean, it actually not necessarily would have been in the pot, per se. It could have been the hot water that would have been stored in here as well. And this is absolutely exquisitely made. It's cotton batting and then this beautiful silk satin lining. The other thing about these were, you have to remember that if you were living in the north of England and you were living in the old vicarage up in Yorkshire, and it was cold, and it was a long distance from that kitchen to the drawing room or the morning room or wherever you were having your tea, things got cold in the process. So you really literally tucked them up in warm bunting, closed them up like this, And there you go. I have not seen one like this in such good condition. This is beautifully done. What kind of price tag do we have on this?
Oh, the ridiculously low price of $60.
$60! That's an incredibly good price, because I have seen one other one that also had tapestry work on it as well, and that was about 5 times what you're asking for this one. This one's in impeccable condition. This is probably around turn of the century into the 20s. Your chrome-plated metal is going to be a giveaway for that one, but the condition is perfect, and probably English, could have been American, but more likely English. I want to thank you very much for sharing them with us. I'd like to welcome you to the show. And your name is?
Tina Jackson.
Tina Jackson, nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
What have you brought me here?
I have brought you 2 ballet prints that had been in my family for many years. They were given to me as a child from my grandmother. And I've hung them in my room and taken 13 years of ballet.
Oh, well done.
Supported by their beauty, so.
Well done, well done. Yes, I have a daughter that did, like, I don't know, 13 years as well.
You have to.
Oh, absolutely. All right, you are absolutely right, number one, and I'm going to just sort of hold these down here because the wind is moving them around. You were right, first of all, to call them prints.
Right.
Prints have a tendency, that term has a tendency to be bandied all over the place. What is a print, what is a lithograph, and so forth. So we won't get too deep as far as terminology is concerned, but as far as these are concerned, they are prints. I would be run out of the profession if these, in fact, were pastels by touching them the way I'm touching them.
Right.
Number one. I shouldn't be touching them otherwise we would have them in the next county if I don't hang on to them. But what you do, in fact, have signed prints. The signature is part of the printing process.
Okay.
Number one. They are printed on a rough stock to simulate watercolor and or pastel paper, which is a good heavy stock of paper. Now what you do have is reproductions of the original pastels. Like as not, the color of the originals is what you're seeing here. And these would have been authentic reproductions. My only problem with these is I would have liked to have seen on the bottom attribution as far as who the printer was of these. And while the winds died down, I'm going to flip that around so you can see this one as well. They're really quite fine as far as the reproduction is concerned. And the quality is very, very good. We have a little bit of problems here, but you have sentiment invested in these. Did you purchase these, or they were given to you?
No.
They were given to you. Okay. With that in mind, we have nowhere to go but up as far as that goes. And what we're looking at as far as value is concerned is pieces that were probably done in the 20s and 30s. I'm not familiar with this artist's name, and my feeling is that still time period is about 20s, 30s, 40s, in that neighborhood. They were done as obvious commercial projects. And my feeling is, as far as the price is concerned, with the frames, and they're lovely carved frames, you're looking at about $175 each for these. Now, my recommendation is, as I'm putting all of my fingers on this paper, which is a very, very bad thing to do, we need to get these framed properly. Okay. Number one. I want to see these with a UV glass over them. I want to see them with an acid-free back put on the back, so we have them properly sealed, so that for generations of inspiring dancers, they'll be there for them. Thank you very much for bringing them. Signature art, a sign of the times, when we come back. We're back, and I'm talking to
George Irving.
George Irving, nice to meet you, sir. You have a beautiful collection of autographs and photographs and so forth. Let's just zero in right on this space here. I see we have Enrico Caruso, signed letter from him. Walk me through it here.
Okay, this is Caruso, a signed letter. This is Mary Pickford. This is Booker T.
Washington.
This is one of the, is that Hardy, isn't it?
Stan Laurel.
Yes.
Stan Laurel.
Duke Ellington, Barbara Streisand, and this is Adelina Patti. This is Rosia.
Yes.
And this is George Gershwin. And Ira Gershwin, Salvatore Dali, Nat King Cole, Cary Grant,
and the Duke.
And the Duke.
Goodness.
This is Thomas Edison
and Henry Ford.
The magnificent
collection. How'd you get started in this in this
Just
business?
collecting. Just started off just collecting.
Were you an autograph hound? Did you start started that way?
No, it was just that I used to like to go backstage at the Opera House in New York. I'm from New York.
And collect autographs.
And collect autographs. And it got to the point that I accumulated so many and so many duplication that I went to a show and I saw people selling them. So I decided I would try to sell mine.
Do you find this is a really mercurial form of collecting as far as the highs and lows and selling points?
Well, see, at this point with me, I'm retired.
Yep.
And this is take that space of retirement. And I have a website. And,
Well done.
And the website, it's also lends itself to a lot of work, but it's fun. I enjoy what I'm doing now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What is the most sought after autograph on the market?
Oh, it varies. It's in different category. If you look in the political category, people looking for presidents.
Okay.
And in the movie industry, people are looking for the Marilyn Monroes and the James Deans.
Right.
And then if you look in opera, they're looking for Bueller. They're looking for Caruso. And they're looking for Callis and all of these kinds of autographs. But you never tell. It depends on the person.
Right.
The market dictate that. Those people out there. Someone might walk in here and ask me for something I don't have.
Right.
So you can't say what is really in demand. It's just what it pops
Well, let's put it
up.
this way. Elvis is always going to sell. Frank
Definitely.
Sinatra is always going to sell.
Right.
And unfortunately, the market is always swayed by who just died.
No, it doesn't. Take Rock Hudson. He died.
Yeah.
His autographs is going for $60 now.
Really.
Right. It doesn't mean if you were not famous when you were alive, you're not going to be famous when you die.
Unless we could create something really sensational. Well, you've got a sensational collection here, and I want to thank you very, very
Thank you
much
very much.
for sharing them with us.
Okay,
And we
thank
just
you.
touched it. You've got millions of them here.
Right. If you just
I'd like to welcome you to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And your name is?
Al Busto.
Al, you brought two very fine pieces which are actually related as far as time period is concerned, as far as the time that they were made. What can you tell me about this particular one?
Other than the fact that I bought it about 12 years ago at a regular thrift store, basically that's it.
You have a good eye. You have a very good eye. What did you pay for it? Do you remember?
$5.
Oh, I like these prices. $5 is a great price for this particular piece. Before we start concentrating on what we have on the front, let's concentrate on what we have on the back here. We have a European mark on it. Number one, we know the fact the painting was done on panel, on a piece of wood, number one. We also see by the construction of this frame, it's in its original frame, as far as that goes. This is the way the first person who purchased this bought it, number one. Now, when did they buy it? Can we tell anything from the back here? This particular panel, we could say, yeah, anywhere from the 16th century to the 20th century, or yesterday. This is not going to be any indication at all. This mark, however, is going to help us a lot. This mark was put on here as an export mark, so we know that this was exported out of, my feeling is Germany, after 1880. So my feeling is that that's what we're looking at as far as time period, and it's possible that it's older than that. My gut instinct is telling me it's possibly older than 1880, number one. Let's start looking at this particular piece. We have a thin application of oil paint on wood panel. Thin little coating of gesso here. They didn't build up this panel a great deal. This is what we call souvenir art. And when people were making the grand tour from the 18th century through the 19th century into the 20th century, they were bringing something back with them. This was a small piece they could put into their luggage and bring back with them. This predates the advent of a lot of postcards and so forth and so on. You could just buy, you could go to a museum shop, you could buy from vendors on the street a lot of lovely art. This is done in the style of an artist called Franz Hals and Rubens, who did these beautiful paintings of these chevaliers, these wonderful men in their big hats and beautiful clothing. It is an unsigned piece, which is lending credence to the fact that it is a souvenir piece, but it is a good piece. I'm sorry to see that we have such crazing, such cracking in this particular piece, but it is worth having it restored, and it would be worth your time to take it to an art restorer and have this, rather than repainted, secured, is what we call it in the business.
Secured is the story.
Secured. What they're going to do is they're going to put a securing varnish on this, which is going to hold fast the existing pigment that's on here. No repainting, no touching up like they used to do in the Victorian age when they had a beautiful masterpiece. They just repaint it. They just paint over it. Like, what were they thinking? Now we've really come a long way. We're simply going to secure that finish, and that's my recommendation with that. As far as souvenir art from the 19th century is concerned, and I believe it is 19th century, you're looking at about, what did you pay for this, $5?
$5.
You're looking at about $550 for this particular piece as is. With a secured piece, with a secured finish on it, you're looking at about $550 to $1,000 for this particular one. Very nice.
Great.
Now, the reason we're going to tie these two in together is, what can you tell me about this one, number one?
I purchased that one at a flea market here in Tampa from two individuals, and I paid $8 for it.
Very good.
But
what do you know about the history of it besides that, as far as the piece is concerned?
Other than the fact that I researched it, I bought some books, and it was in a Bible. It was a painting by Hoffman, Heinrich Hoffman. But this, I don't know. It's not the painting, so I don't know if it was an old picture, a photo, or just what it is.
All of those terms are absolutely working with this one. It's a photo representation of the original sketch, which is Jesus talking to the elders. And very, very famous, very famous piece. It has been reproduced in many different medias, from chromolithographs to what you have here, which is a photo representation of a pastel. So once again, we have it done on textured paper and literally has been projected onto that paper. This is coming from, this technique was very popular in the 1900s through, I would say, to the Second World War. Predates that a little bit as well, even to the last 15 minutes of the 19th century. And do you remember what you paid for this?
$8.
$8, well done. It has no problems as far as that goes besides this right here. And this is only going to get worse. So we want to take it out of this frame. We want to get it properly framed with an acid-free back on it, number one. And that's going to slow down what's happening here as far as the decay on the paper is concerned.
Oh,
you actually see where the pigment, where it was projected onto the paper, is flaked off. Moisture is causing that. Moisture gets underneath and in saturating the paper, and then we start losing our image. And when the image starts going, then the value, of course, goes down as well.
Yes.
So we want to secure that as quickly as possible. Your investment was a very good one. I would say, properly framed, you're looking at about $350 for this particular one. Wow. So not a bad day's shopping.
No, thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you for bringing them in.